Thank you for joining us. We're going to give our colleagues just a few more minutes, 1 or 2 minutes, to get on. Thank you. Good afternoon. Thank you very much for joining us for this State of NALCAB 2017 presentation. Just a few logistical pieces of information. Everybody is currently on mute. That is automatic and on purpose so that there's no background noise that interferes with the presentation. There will be an opportunity to ask questions at the end. However, if there are any questions or concerns that you want to share with us during the presentation, please use the chat or Q&A tool located in the top right corner of the screen to send a message to the host. And please feel free to unmute when it's time to ask questions, or you can type in your questions using the Q&A tool. And I'm going to turn it over to Noel Pollo, Executive Director of NALCAB.
Good afternoon or good morning, depending on which side of the country you're on. So welcome you to this update about the NALCAB network, about our work as an organization, but really about the network. We'll be joined by a number of our board members, but our board chair is calling in. But I just want to give you a little bit of welcome and orientation to why we are doing this kind of webinar. Last year, we began, in fact, in the immediate aftermath of the election, a big change in our country, really began engaging members in a new way. And that included doing an annual State of NALCAB webinar. So the first one we did was last year, and this is the second one. We'll continue to do that moving forward. I hope you've seen us be more active in terms of special messages from me, as the executive director of the organization, as well as a range of policy communications, as well as our regular newsletters. So one of the things we hope to hear from you is just whether you're hearing more communication from NALCAB, because that's what we're hoping that you hear. I want to just check in for one moment to see whether who we have on the line and whether Fernando Lemos has been able to get through. One quick moment. For our logistical snafus there, let's just unmute there. And very good, there we go. Fernando, let me introduce you just very briefly and give you an opportunity to communicate to the membership. And again, my apologies, Fernando, for the little logistical snafu on our side. Fernando Lemos is the Executive Director of Mi Casa Inc., based in Washington, D.C., a practitioner of, I'll just fair number of years and leave it at that, Fernando. And Fernando's a longtime board member, began serving as our board chair this last year. And just a little bit of NALCAB history. Fernando was the recipient of the Lizárraga Leadership Award when NALCAB back 10 years ago gave an award for leadership in our network. So his long contribution to the organization is much valued. And Fernando, let me just turn to you to be able to welcome the membership and offer any thoughts you have to kick us off.
Thanks, Noel. I appreciate it very much. With that presentation of me, I would like to take this opportunity to thank everyone on behalf of the board, everyone that participated at a member of the NALCAB, member that participated in the webinar, and member who participated every moment, every activity during the 2017 year. I'd like to thank you for your support of NALCAB, and I'd like to continue that support in the coming year. And with that, on behalf of the board, thanks for participation. I think it's important that we keep that participation, especially given the good news that we have recently in Virginia and Alabama, that we have to take the opportunity to celebrate and see that we have a light at the end of the tunnel. Our mission is very challenging, and we need to stick together and work in the coming year together to achieve our goal of empower the Spanish community and throughout the country. I also to take this opportunity to thank everyone in the board, every board member who dedicate time, energy, and traveling to participate in each of our meetings through the year and each of our committee. Without your support and your participation, will be very difficult for us to achieve the goal. And I think your leadership to the staff was tremendously and encouraged that staff to continue through the challenge. I think we need to continue focus on the work that we do in our own community. I think we need to continue to focus and develop support to our community, to the Latino community throughout the country. And I think your support to NALCAB is very, very important. The membership support is a key component of the NALCAB operation. With that, I want to say thanks to everyone for your support and participation. Noel, it's up to you. Back to you.
Muy bien, y a ti muchas gracias, Fernando. So I'd like to just walk through a brief PowerPoint presentation just to guide the conversation, so you got a little something visual to look at if you're logged in online. The agenda, we've done the opening. I want to give you just a brief review of 2017, some reflections on federal policy, just the pitch to you. We value your membership and really want to ask for investment in membership in NALCAB, whether you've been a long-time member or more recent, and then some ideas about what to expect from NALCAB in 2018. But to begin, let's to NALCAB's mission and values. As first said, this has been a challenging year without any question. And I think, however, it's a year like this where we go back and read things like our mission and our values. And so our board did in a meeting get together in early 2017 and really go back and think about what did these words mean when they were put together. And more important than any time in our history, the ability to build assets, particularly in a country where money and speech are very closely aligned, particularly in an environment where the public sector has been forced back and the private sector really must be where many of our solutions happen, that having access to capital and building assets is critically important. And you look at our core values. how to define who we are. Familia, integrity, cultural competence, collaboration, innovation. These things resonate for us as a staff, as a board, and I hope for the membership more now than ever. I want to remind you a little bit about NALCAB's program areas and our lines of business. So NALCAB seeks to support our network in 3 program areas: neighborhood development, small business development investment, and family financial capability. And in those areas around equitable neighborhood development, what we have found is that in the last couple of years, and certainly moving into 2018, there is a tremendous anxiety and opportunity in our communities where real estate prices are going up, where there's concern about gentrification, and we have been very focused on providing tools and data and support to members of our network to handle and understand these market changes and to act in ways that protect our people, not just today, but probably more importantly, tomorrow and the next day, to look forward. In terms of business investment, you'll see that we are really focused on building CDFIs within our network that can strengthen our small businesses, and to not lose focus on sometimes that small business conversation can be about larger businesses, about fast-growing businesses, about tech businesses, all things that are important and relevant to our communities. But our Main Street businesses, our mom and pop companies, are ones that have been under a lot of stress and challenge, and make sure that those commercial corridors that are the beating heart of many of our neighborhoods and the beating heart of our local economies, that we're able to support them. And finally, NALCAB has really been growing in the area of family financial capability with a number of very specific projects focused on building credit, building savings, really supporting family balance sheets. And differentiate between our program areas and our lines of business. The program areas are areas of focus, right? Lines of business is what we do on a day-to-day basis. We are doing organizational capacity building, investing in our members with grant-making, technical assistance, structuring collaborations, in leadership, and we do that through training for practitioners. We now hold an annual training, which is now having really strong attendance. We've sold out for 2 years in a row, and really, one of our struggles is how do we expand it and make it larger. Excited about that, and we take great pride in our Colegio Fellowship, the leadership program where we invest in our emerging and oftentimes younger leaders within our network. We have grown a great deal in the areas of policy and research, and I'll say more about that. And finally, investing capital. We are doing some lending with a rural loan fund, and we have created an equity fund. These are all strategies that we anticipated the need to be able to more directly support our members in these ways, and that's the way we have structured these. Let me just give you a sense of what we have accomplished in 2017. This is not by any means everything we've done, but just a few things to give you a sense that we are out there focused on adding value for members. One track record of helping members access federal funds through supporting their grant applications. More than $9 million secured this year. Organizations that have received sub-grants or very significant technical assistance engagements are more than 40. And we differentiate this from just members who we've provided some limited TA to or some small value add. These organizations where we've really dug in. So to have, that 40 plus number for us is really important because it represents deep engagement, not sort of light touches. If we use that number, it would be much larger. But I think we give you a sense of our willingness to dig in and really support organizations in time of need. And sub-grants, we continue to pass through significant dollars to member organizations. There's a few little details you'll see on our slide about specific projects we've been engaged in. We are, I'm confident in saying we're the leading supporter of Latino-led CDFIs in this country. There are wonderful CDFI organizations out there that support the industry, and we support them and we engage with them. But our focus on Latino-led CDFIs is not replicated anywhere else, and we have been providing technical assistance, support, and accessing capital to many CDFIs. We really put a focus on helping small business serving organizations sustain themselves. That focus on sustainability in difficult times, I think, was time this year. And I dare say that there are organizations that would have reached the year end in much more difficult fashion had not been for the support of our team. We've been helping organizations create gentrification action plans. This is at the center of our work now. A great deal of anxiety and well-placed concern in our communities because, markets are washing over places that were, at one time viewed as places of disinvestment. Old paradigm where we think about there are places of opportunity and places of disinvestment, more and more that's the same place because there's this surge of the real estate market into our neighborhoods, and many of those places, they're centered on Latino communities. We fight ahead of us. We have a struggle ahead of us around this issue, and we are deeply engaged with members across the country on this. I mentioned our financial capability programs, and one of them is really crucial is our rent reporting pilot that we've just begun, helping owners of multifamily housing report the positive rental payment history of people who live in their housing and the impact that can have on credit. This is a sense of the kind of detailed and research-based work that we've been doing. National training, which was held in Dallas this year, more than 180 attendees and more than 80 organizations trained. This is a hallmark of our work moving forward. You will see this every year. We anticipate that our national training will be in October this coming year, very likely to be in San Antonio. And we hosted this last year, 3 2.5-day courses. So this is sort of light touch training. This is sit down with curriculum in a room with peers, 2.5 days. And we're confident that you can't get this kind of training and this peer atmosphere anywhere else in the country. Our fellowship is really one of the beating heart programs of NALCAB. We're proud to graduate 16 more fellows, which now over 7 classes gets us almost to 100 fellows. We're excited next year about breaking that 100 fellow ceiling. And there are people who are going to be leading our industry, leading our organizations. We're really very excited and grateful to the fellows for investing themselves in NALCAB network in this way. Catalyst Fund is an equity fund that we've raised over the past 18 months, and we are directly investing in deals in partnership with our member organizations. We've invested in deals in San Antonio, in the Rio Grande Valley, and in Washington, D.C. This is a strategy for the future, for the long term for NALCAB. Particularly interested in investing in housing, affordable housing, in areas that are experiencing real estate market pressures, those potential gentrification areas, and where there's access to those factors which improve economic mobility. Think employment, quality education, and health care. And in our federal policy work, the board gave us a directive 2 years ago to really step up on federal policy. NALCAB has a long history of of working on financing deals and accessing federal money with members and this kind of work. Time for that expertise to be expressed in a strong policy voice on behalf of Latino communities. And that we've been doing. We opened up an office in D.C. last year. We moved into a new office in D.C. this year because we're own. Now in the Bar Building with the Center for Responsible Lending on the same floor there for those of you who know D.C. And we hope that you'll visit our D.C. office when you go to D.C. The end of this year, we've just hired a really important new position for us, a new Associate Director for Federal Policy. We look forward to introducing her to you in the coming year. We're building our national collaborations around federal policy with other networks, national networks and organizing movements. Hill Day for the first time, bringing members to the Hill to communicate directly with members of Congress. And you saw our work supporting immigrant communities this year. Early in the year, we put out information to our membership about opportunities and policy needs in immigrant communities. And in the fall, we published a DACA toolkit, a toolkit for advocating around DACA and specifically around the economic impacts of DACA. We want to bring a voice to any issue that is unique to our capacities, and we can speak to the economic impacts in a compelling way. And we need to parrot or repeat what others say. We want to bring the NALCAB network in a fresh way to issues, and that's one good example. I just want to offer a couple of quick reflections on the policy trends that we see. You know, in some ways, the fight is really just beginning. We have had a reprieve this year, and I know that's not what it feels like for many people. But the truth is that this administration, which has been openly hostile to Latino communities, and that is not a partisan statement, that is not a Republican statement or a Democratic statement, it's an observation of what is real. And frankly, we have seen strong support from both Republicans and Democrats and folks who are non-affiliated for Latino communities against the kind of rhetoric we've seen out of this administration. But their ability to actually implement policy has been very, very limited. And we're likely to see a tax bill go through by the end of the year, which will represent really the first real implementation of policy. This obviously is, other administrations have moved much more quickly. One place that we saw this administration moved immediately was, of course, in its actions against immigrant communities. And we've seen the economic impacts, and we've raised these issues vigorously in the economic sphere, in particular with the Federal Reserve banks, really encouraging them to look at the economic impacts. And we have seen communications coming out of very senior leaders in the Federal Reserve, people like the president of the Dallas Federal Reserve and members of the Board of Governors this year, have acknowledged the core economic thinking behind this attack on immigrant communities. But beyond those issues, which have been particularly targeted at Latino and immigrant communities, the larger domestic economic policy of this administration has not moved forward. And so it's year that I think we have to remain on guard, redouble our efforts, and that's what we intend to do with our federal policy work. The budget has been on a continuing resolution by and large, and so we've not seen massive budget cuts. Advocacy mattered in that respect. Our team in D.C. worked with the National Low-Income Housing Coalition and a strong coalition of community development organizations, really fight for the federal, the HUD budget. We're going to see, some really regressive tax policy go through, but I think we need to look for the opportunities in it for our communities and see whether there are ways, as we unpack what's in it, which of course we don't know. A lot of this stuff is up in the air, and we don't know because it's being done behind closed doors. But we want to be able to not only have a view of concern and opposition, also for our communities where there are opportunities, pursue them. One really huge structural issue that may be addressed in 2018, if there's any opportunity to address anything in 2018 at the congressional level, is GSE reform. Communities have a great deal at stake, and we will continue to communicate about this. What's going on with Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, and whether those strong affordable housing goals and other crucial matters for our communities are going to be addressed. Some of the rollbacks around Dodd-Frank and in terms of financial regulation and consumer protection with the CFPB. If I have to point out one issue that concerns me sort of the most, it is the new director of the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. As someone who's really not interested in that bureau working, and so there's advocacy to be done there, and around the composition of the Federal Reserve. It's something that few people are focused on, I think, but we need to be focused on as a community, because it has huge implications for our community and the whole nation. Who sits on the Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve? Yellen, who has been the board chair, will be leaving. I think the Trump administration, the president, nominated someone who actually I think is probably the best among choices in the potential new chair of that Federal Reserve, if he is confirmed by the Senate. It's not a bad choice, but I worry very much about the rest of the seats there getting filled and what kinds of economic policy we'll see. You noticed a little question come about just specifically what is a GSE? Government-sponsored entities, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, which are so crucial to our mortgage mortgage financing in this country. It's essentially the largest part of the secondary market for mortgage financing. Obviously, mortgages undergird a great deal about our economy. So moving us forward, I just want to ask, I hope some of these updates have been useful about what we've been doing, about some of the federal policy concerns that we have, and I want to ask for your membership, ongoing membership, new membership. Remind you of the value of NALCAB membership, that the lower fees for our conferences and trainings, you will not find anywhere the ambiente that you will see the ability to connect with our community, and we need to connect now more than ever at our national conference and our training. Access to capital, we have a proven track record of helping organizations that deeply engage in NALCAB to access capital, both federal and private. Build works and collaborations which open up new opportunities, I think has been a crucial part of our track record, and we ask you to keep that in mind. And I hope that more and more you will hear insights on domestic economic policy. I've gone through a fair amount relatively quickly here just around policy, but I hope that you pay attention. You've been seeing the emails that go out, participate in our policy committee. And if you're interested in participating in our policy committee, please reach out to me or to Ana or to our Director of External Affairs, Manuel Ochoa, who leads our DC office and leads our policy committee. I think it's a place where you can get great value. And let me just offer you a few quick thoughts about what to expect in 2018 and then open up to questions. It was meant to get through this in the first half hour, so I'm getting close. 18 for our Equitable Neighborhood Development Toolkit. We'll be publishing in January. You'll see it. This is a toolkit aimed at nonprofits who are concerned about changes and increasing price pressures in their neighborhoods, how to think about it, how to understand what to do about it. I think you will find this to be a fee-building piece of work. You will not find something as detailed and as specific as this anywhere out there, and I hope that you will look for it in the months to come. We're putting on more webinars next year, policy webinars, so that you can be more engaged in policy issues and learn. And so a FinTech learning series, which we're doing with corporate support to help many of small business organizations understand this sort of rapidly changing space of FinTech and how capital delivery is happening through online platforms and a variety of other things beyond capital delivery. Media has been growing. We see more engagement in our social media. We have a wonderful social media team here, and I hope you will engage there and see us being more engaged there. Our blueprint for culturally relevant small business development, something we published a couple of years ago. We're just releasing an update on it. And again, we've gotten a lot of feedback that this document is really very practically useful for our small business groups. So it just gives you a sense. We'll be investing in our members as we do every year, with grant making, with technical assistance, with training opportunities. The fellowship will be coming again. You'll be seeing the announcement about the 2018 fellowship. So we've got a great deal of momentum and really looking forward to continuing to add value for our network next year. I want to announce our rescheduled 2017 and now 2018 National Conference. As many of you know, we scheduled to have our national conference in October 2017 in Fort Lauderdale. It was scheduled for the week after the hurricane, and the hotel that we were aiming at, in fact, was closed on the date that the conference would have happened. So it was a challenge for us. We had to go out and actually had to move cities because there was no more room in Fort Lauderdale. So we in Orlando, April 10th through the 12th. We tried to find the sort of best date we could on short notice. And it's near the end of tax season, and apologize to those of you who run tax prep sites. We entered some other national conferences that it may conflict with, but we tried to respond quickly. I think that this will be a really extraordinarily dynamic environment. I feel a great deal of momentum in our network about sort of turning the corner, and as Fernando Lemos said at the top of this webinar, seeing some light at the end of the tunnel, some ways forward. through what has been, a really challenging time. You'll see some special sessions and topics. What I'll call a soft announcement. We are not going to be publishing this quite yet, but we've received the thumbs up that Ana Navarro, the CNN commentator, will be joining us. She's an extraordinary, strong Latina voice in the media, and we're looking forward to her participation. Finally, just want to do a few little acknowledgments. To be honest, it would have been easy this year for a number of our supporters to come. It did not happen. We are really proud of the support that we have from a number of financial institutions, private foundations, federal government agencies, local government agencies. Our networks and our opportunities really have grown. And what we are trying to do is leverage that strength that NALCAB is feeling for member organizations that may find themselves challenged, and offer some stability, some guiding and strength throughout our network. I hope that's what you felt this year. I hope you'll feel it more next year. And again, beginning I think appropriately, Fernando Lemos said thank you. Let me end appropriately by saying thank you. Let's open this up to questions.
So if you have any questions, please feel free to unmute your phone or to type questions using the Q&A tool at the top right-hand part of the screen.
Just 1 minute. We just unmuted. So was that Fernando?
Yes, this is Fernando.
Yeah. So Fernando, please go ahead, and I want to ask everyone else. We have unmuted the webinar. So if you could just keep your own phone muted unless you're speaking, that helps us to keep down background noise. But the webinar itself is now unmuted. So any background noise that you have, if you're not muted, we'll hear. So if that's a challenge, we'll speak to you. But Fernando, go ahead.
One of the things that I wanted to say, your presentation was extremely good, and the amount of work that NALCAB did this year, and I think we need thanks to the staff more than anyone. I think without the support and the hard work of the staff, we wouldn't accomplish what you just mentioned to us. I think we like to agradecer inmensamente a la colaboración y el apoyo y el buen trabajo del staff de NALCAB on behalf of the board.
Muchas gracias, Fernando. And it is absolutely the case that we have a team here which has now grown to 30 staff between our offices in San Antonio and DC. That is nothing short of extraordinary. A lot of people who have wonderful track record, have been at this mission work, doing really amazing support for our members. And I think that more and more what folks are realizing is that the work, oftentimes this organization has been associated with me. The fact is that we've got a team now that really is taking it well beyond the work that I led early in the growth of NALCAB and taking it in directions that are really their own. And to me, that's extremely exciting and allows me to focus on NALCAB's growth and the variety of policy opportunities we have while the staff is really making our program work and other work to new levels. Other questions, comments?
This is David, one of the other board members, David Adame. And I might have missed it at the beginning, but what do you foresee with tax reform going on market tax credits, light tech, private equity, UCNs, and conference that can be said all?
So what the best that I understand, and I want to be very clear that this is looking through really a very non-transparent process. So we are talking every day to folks about these issues, but I think anybody who is not actually on Senate or House leadership staff who said they know too much about this is probably exaggerating. So with that caveat, I'll say that the need for advocacy around the housing elements in the tax code right now is extremely important, because we're in a position right now where the tax bills that were passed and are now in conference being resolved together, if they stand as written, we will have a massive hit to affordable housing and community-based economic development work made possible through the new markets tax credits. And so we're trying to undo something that's already in there. So, just the momentum will have it go through. There has been very little focus from leadership on these issues. This is like way in the weeds for them, and I'm concerned about it. If I had to guess, I think these things are going to go through. I also think that in the coming years, we are very likely to see sort of tax fix bills, because there's a whole variety of things they've done through this process that's happened incredibly quickly, but they have no idea what they're doing in terms of full implications. And so I think that's also going to be a reality, that there may be the opportunity and need. And I just ask folks to put themselves on mute, or if they're moving things right by the speaker on their phone, it does come through to everyone because we have the webinar on mute. But again, just to say that we are going to need to be ready to undo what is done. I have very little confidence right now that some of those really onerous elements of the tax bill will get fixed. Maybe some portion will, but the idea that it will come through clean of those changes is, in my view, unlikely. And someone's got themselves unmuted and then kind of moving things near the speaker on their phone, and it just comes through to everybody on the call. So I see a question from online from Estela Ortega. Thank you, Estela, for joining us. In tax reform being passed in a few weeks, do you anticipate cuts coming in 2018? And of course, Estela, feel free to unmute and jump in whenever you want. But I think that is unquestionably the strategy, and it's not a secret, of elements of the Republican Party to create an artificial deficit by cutting taxes and then saying we need to cut the deficit by cutting spending. An incredibly cynical approach. I think that is, we should absolutely anticipate that kind of movement. That being said, I think that we are, I think we have seen already the strong resistance that comes to massive cutting of the federal budget itself. I'm talking about tax cuts, but I'm talking about the budget cuts. They were unsuccessful this year in doing massive cuts to the budget. Meany, who leads the OB for the Trump administration, put out a very radical budget early in the year, zeroing every community program out. Anything that had community in it was zeroed out. I don't believe that is likely to happen. I'll give you one small dynamic that I think is illustrative of many other things, which is when there was a move to cut the Community Development Block Grant Program at HUD, some mayors raised grave concerns. We're talking about Republican leaders of cities in red states. Why? Because they rely on that federal money. Their city budgets are incredibly thin. And so it's cutting past the fat through the muscle and into the bone, so to speak, to use a sort of grisly metaphor, I'm sorry. But I think that there are all kinds of ways in which there has been austerity for many years now, and it's going to be politically much more difficult that perhaps some Republican leaders think will just be a waltz onto massive cuts in the federal budget. There's a question here about whether NALCAB offers membership for individuals. So actually, technically, NALCAB does. We just try to be transparent about the fact that this is an organization that's built the capacity of organizations. and welcome contributions from individuals, and obviously want to include individuals on our communications. But I try to stress to individuals that they're making a contribution that is greatly valued to our organization, but that a membership benefit may be limited for an individual because it is, we are built to provide benefits to organizations, to structures. With that transparency, we most deeply appreciate and ask for your individual support, just as we do for organizational support. Beeser, the chair of the Membership and Nominations Committee of our board, asked a question online about the potential of, or to let everyone know about the potential of a membership meeting coming up in early 2018. So the membership committee and the board is discussing calling a meeting of membership. I do not have a date to announce to you yet, but it is, thank you very much, Bea, for raising it. We really think we need to come together as a network and really understand the needs and opportunities, what we can take advantage of as a network and how we need to support each other in holding our ground. And that's going to require directly speaking with members. And so we are planning to host a face-to-face meeting of the membership. It may occur around the national conference, which is happening in April, but further news to come on that. Thank you, Bea, for raising it. I've received a reminder here online from Manuel Ochoa, who is our Director of External Affairs and leader in our DC office. Thank you, Manuel, for the reminder that we were talking earlier about the new tax credits and low-income housing tax credits. David Adame asked the question. We are a part of an action campaign specifically around this right now. You will see us also asking questions through a membership survey, so we're understanding the impacts of these programs well on your organizations. But that action campaign has over 2,000 members and is lobbying hard right now. If you care about these programs, these affordable housing programs in the tax code, the housing tax credit, the bonds, and of course over at Treasury, the New Markets Tax Credit, this is life and death right now, right? This is not like let's be doing something. This is the time to pick up the phone. And so you can reach out to our policy committee, to Manuel, and I know that we've been also reaching out in our communications to folks, but this is in the next week is the time for you to make those phone calls if you're going to make them. So please consider that. Are there questions? Feel free to unmute yourself and ask the question, or ask online if you're logged in. I want to acknowledge that we have 42 participants in this call. Thank you so much to the network for coming and listening. We have the membership network. Is a little bit of a moving target if we talk about sort of technically who signed what form on what day. In terms of who has been engaged, who we're adding value for, that number is really reaching above 120 organizations across the country. And you'll see us really striving to expand that. NALCAB has been so focused on trying to add value through our programs for members that sometimes we haven't been as sort of sophisticated as an actual membership organization, doing a membership drive and asking for your support. And I hope you will see us improving and really strengthening that. We've really made an effort to communicate more this year, and I hope that you're seeing that. But we need to facilitate our members coming together, being connected to networks, knowing what's going on more than ever. We will not survive these times, in our corners, isolated. And that's been a theme in my communication in the network throughout the year, and will continue to be in the coming year. Are there questions? Seeing online and hearing no one unmuting, I really want to thank everybody for joining us. I want to make an ask of you. If you support NALCAB and you find that you have not paid your membership dues this year, please do consider doing that by the end of the year or reflecting it as a pledge, even if it's paid in the first quarter. Those membership dues are important to us, and we ask for your support in that way. And more importantly, we ask for you to give us feedback. Drop me an email. Drop anybody on our team an email. Tell them what concerns are. Tell them what you're happy with. We really, we try not to be a thin-skinned organization. If you've got critique, boy, we value it. It's what makes us better. And so please hear that spirit of engagement. Please that desire to add value to the work that you're doing, and we look forward to serving you in the coming year. Again, I am going to stay on the line for another 5 minutes in case anybody happens to have a question and wants to stay on. But with that, this webinar is concluded, and I thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Muchas gracias a todos.
Feliz Navidad y Año Nuevo. Happy holiday, Hanukkah to all the members and the ship and the staff.
Thank you for holding. We'll be with you momentarily.